Hello friends, welcome to my channel. This is Charan. In this video tutorial, I will explain in Blazor application how to insert the today's date and the current time into an SQL Server database. And here we got the final output. Now it is a navigation link insert DT, which is the date time. So here the date time contains the employee name, and below that the join date is today's date is 9th September and the time is 11:46. Let's give the employee name Charan. Now before insert these Charan details with the join date, let's check in our table. Let's execute this table. Right now this table contains 0 rows. Let's insert the Charan details, click insert. Let's check in our database. I'm executing the statement again. So here we got the Charan employee details is inserted successfully. If you are a first time visitor to my channel, please subscribe to get the latest updates. Before creating a new Blazor application, first we'll create a new table in SQL Server Management Studio. I just logged into my SQL Server Management Studio. Let me expand this my root folder. In the root folder there is a databases folder. Expand that one. In the databases, notice there is one Charan database, which is a user defined database. I want to create a new table in this database Charan. Before that, let's expand this Charan database as well as the tables folder. Now we'll create a new table in this database Charan. Select the Charan database, right click the mouse, new query. Let's start the query. Create table employee join date is my table name. Let's make it emp join date. Simple. Let's add the columns here. emp id, integer type, not null. I'm adding a primary key for this column, and as well as it's an identity column 1, 1, which is an auto increment column. emp name and varchar 150. And the last one, I'm adding the join date. Date time, the data type is. Just for the demo purpose, I'm adding only simple 3 columns in this table. Let's execute to create this table. And here we got a message command completed successfully, which means this emp join date table has been created successfully in this Charan database. Let me refresh this tables folder. So here we got the emp join date has been created successfully. Let me browse this table, right click the table name, select top 1000 rows. And here we got the results of this table, which contains right now 0 rows. Now let's insert some data, the employee details, using Blazor application. For this video tutorial, I'm creating a new Blazor application. For that, go to File, New, Project. I'm selecting Blazor app, click next. Let's give the proper project name is JD date time insert Blazor is my project name, and I want to save this project in this Core Blazor folder, which is in D drive. Let's create this application. After that, select the Blazor server app template, create. And here the ASP.NET Core Blazor application has been created successfully. Let me close this default window. Now first, before writing the coding part to insert the employee details with the current date and time into an SQL Server database, let's check the basic default output of our Blazor application. On this application, and here we got the default output of our Blazor application, which contains at the side panel we got some navigation links, about on menu bar, and below that we got one razor component. Now my aim is I'll create one new navigation link here, and a user clicks that navigation link, it will open a new razor component. In that razor component, I will add some employee details to insert records. So let's do that one fast. switch over to the coding part. Let's stop debugging. Now here in our application, first when we want to communicate with any database, we require the necessary database packages. Here we are using the SQL Server database, so I require the packages. Before installing the packages, notice in our project there is a dependencies folder. Let me expand this dependencies folder. Notice there is no any packages folder, so let's add a new packages for our application. Select the application name, right click the mouse, and then select the manage Nugget packages. Select the browse and search for Microsoft.Entity Framework Core, and this is the package I want to install. The version is 5.0. Click install. Click OK. Let's accept the license. And see here the icon is showing here, which means this package is installed successfully. And also notice in this dependencies folder, now we got one packages folder which contains the package. We just install this package, Microsoft.Entity Framework Core. And the next package I want to install the SQL Server, Microsoft.Entity Framework Core.SQL Server. Click install. Click OK, accept the license. And here the second package is also installed successfully. You can notice here. And the last one we require the Microsoft.Entity Framework Core.Tools package. I have selected that one, then click install button. OK, accept the license for this package. And here all the necessary packages is installed successfully into our packages folder in our application. Let's minimize this packages folder as well as dependencies. After that, let's close this Nugget package window, which we don't require anymore. Now we require one POCO class. The POCO class means which contains only the properties. That properties class I am adding in this data folder. Right click the data folder, add, select the class, and the class name is EMP class. Now in this EMP class, as I told, it's just a POCO class, which means which contains only properties. So let's add the properties. Before that, let's add the key method, alt enter. When I click alt enter, I got some suggestions. We require using system.componentModel.data annotations to use this key attribute. After that, prop double tap, which creates the default property, the integer type. The first integer type is EMP ID. If you check in our database table, we have three columns: EMP ID, EMP name, and join date. So I am creating three properties. The second property name is prop double tab, which is a string type, and this one is the EMP name, and the last one property date time, and this one is the join date. And the column I have given for this join date is the date time, join date. That's it. After adding the properties in this EMP class, next we require the DB context class. So that class I am creating a new class for that in this data folder. Select the data folder again, right click the mouse, add class, and the class name is the application DB context class. .cs, enter. Here we got our application DB context class. Now in this application DB context class, I want to inherit the DB context class. So when we want to inherit any class, we need to prefix with column DB context. So DB context class belongs to Microsoft.Entity Framework Core package. Let's add that package in this class using Microsoft.Entity Framework Core. Now we'll get that class DB context. So after that, let's create the controller for this class. In this controller, I am adding DB context options. In this options, I am adding my class name, application DB context class, options, colon base options. After that, I'm defining a new property for my table in the database. For that, I'm using prop double tap. The property type is a DB set. In this DB set, I'm adding the class name EMP class. So EMP class, and here the most important part is when we want to add the name. Now here the most important step is we need to add the property name is our table name. So property name and our table name must be same. After that, now we require the connection string. I'm adding my connection string in this app settings.json file. Open that one. Now in this JSON file, let's add our SQL Server data source connection. That connection string, here I'm adding between double quotes connection string, strings colon curly brackets. Let's add the column comma here because it's a JSON file. Now my connection string name is my connection colon. Now between these double quotes, we'll add our SQL Server connection string data source. So to get the proper data source connection string of the SQL Server, notice at the side panel there is a Server Explorer tab here. Click that one. In that Server Explorer, there is a data connections folder. Select that one, right click the mouse, add connection. Here I've got the data source as Microsoft SQL Server, and here my SQL Server name is, which is this one. Let's add that one, desktop hyphen PBUDEOM. Now here let's select that database name from this server. Test connection is succeeded. Okay. And here the Charan database is added successfully into our data connections. And also notice in this properties window, we got a connection string, which is the data source. Let's copy this data source and paste here. That's it. After that, we need to inject the database here. Open startup.cs. First, let's add the using Microsoft.Entity Framework Core. Then let's inject our service here. Services. I'm adding the configure services function. DB context. In this DB context, I'm adding application DB context. Options dot use SQL Server is a method which contains the configuration dot get connection string method. The get connection string method takes a string parameter. That parameter name is our connection string name. So here my connection string name is my connection. Copy that one and paste here. So let's close with a column. That's it. Now the major step, we need to create a services. In Blazor application, everything the logics we have to write in the service only. So for that, I am adding a new folder called services. Select the project name, right click the mouse, add new folder. The folder name is services. Let's close this one, don't record. Now in the services folder, we'll add one new class, add class, and this class name is the EMP service. And here we got our EMP service. The EMP service, first let's add the necessary packages. first using dt dot my application name dot data folder and let's write the protected read only application db context underscore db context colon. Let's create the constructor here ctor. In this constructor I am adding application db context underscore db. Then let's add the objects here, the variables here, underscore db context is equals to underscore db. Now let's create a function. In this function I'll add a logic to insert the employee records. So this function name is public boolean type save record emp record curly brackets. Now in this function I am adding the class name, which is the emp class. EC is an object. Now underscore db context dot my table name is emp join date. This is the emp join date dot add method. In this add method I am adding EC. After that we need to save the db context. Here we have to add the column here db context dot save changes method. Then this function return true. That's it. Now let's call this service function in one Blazor component. Let's expand the shared folder. In this shared folder, notice the nav menu. Open that one. I'm creating a new link here. Insert date time is a link name and the href is dt date time. So after adding a new link in this Blazor component, next we require one component. That component I am adding in this pages folder. Select the pages folder, right click the mouse, add a Blazor component. The Blazor component name is date time component. Date time. Let's add the date time. Enter. And here we got our date time Blazor component. Now when a user clicks this navigation link, I want to open this, render this date time Blazor component on the browser. So let's give a link at page direct2 between double quotes /. Let's add this dt here. That's it. After that, let's import the necessary packages using dt-date folder at using dt-insert blazor.services also are required. Then we need to inherit warning component base. In this component base I am adding the service. My service name is a emp service. After that I'm adding emp class. I'm creating an object for that emp class. EC is equals to new emp class. Then define a property which is a pivot date time. The property type is date time and jd emp join jd. Let's add one function on initializer. Protected override void on initializer method. Let's delete this default line from this method. Here I'm adding emp jd is equals to datetime dot now. After that, I want to display the current date and time here at empjd. That's it. Let's put this one in the h2 tag. Now let's check the output. The current date and time, the today's date and the current time is displaying or not on the browser. And here we got a new output after adding one new navigation link. Click that one. So here we got the date, today's date, which is 9th September, and the time is 38:21 p.m. Now my aim is I want to add this current date and time into our table with the employee name. So for that, let's stop debugging here. Create a new function to save the data. Save emp. Now in this method, I'm adding this object name from this emp class, which is ec dot. If you notice here, once I click dot, I'm getting the properties from this class. So emp id is equals to 0. If you don't add this line, you'll get an error. So make sure always add emp id is 0 when you are inserting the records. Then ec dot join date. The join date we are getting from this object empjd. Copy that one and paste here. Then we need to save the details with the help of this save emp record, which is our service function. So let's add the service, the property name service dot. Notice when I click dot after adding service, we got the method name save emp record. In this save emp record, I'm adding the method object name ec. This object name I'm adding. That's it. And now here above the date time, I'm adding one horizontal line. After the horizontal line, I'm adding one table. This table contains one border is equals to 1 tr, table headers, employee name, employee id is the auto generated column, so I'm not adding that one. Table header, second one is the this one is a table td. We don't require any headers here. Let's add that td, and this td contains a input type is equals to text, placeholder, enter, employee name. Let's close this tab. Let's add another tr. Inside this tr, I'm adding join date to the input type is equals to text, and this one I'm adding read only. After that, after the table I am adding, let's add here only new tr. First td I am leaving blank, and the second td I am adding the button control. Input type is equals to submit button, submit, and the value is insert. Let's close the button control. Now after that, when we want to insert the records in Blazor application, we need the edit form tag. Let's close this edit form tag. After the table, insert this edit form, I'm adding the model is equals to the model we are getting from EC and on change on valid submit because we are clicking the button control. I want to execute this function save emp, which contains to save the records. So emp, we don't require any brackets here. Then we need to bind the property here at bind is equals to ac dot emp name, and for the joining date I'm adding a bind value, not bind. Here I'm adding the bind with value. I'm adding here that join date value we are getting from this empjd. Copy this one and paste it. So now we don't require this here h2. That's it. We have done the complete coding part. But one thing, we need to add this emp service in the startup.cs file before run this application. Let's do that one also. In the startup.cs file, let's add using dt my application name dot services. Now in the services folder we have emp service. That service I'm injecting here in this configure services function dot add scoper method. The service name is emp service. That's it. Now I've done the complete coding part. Let's run this application to insert a new record with a current date and time. And here we got the final output. Now it is a navigation link insert dt, which is a date time. So here the date time contains the employee name, and below that the join date is today's date is 9th September and the time is 11:46. Let's give the employee name Charan. Now before insert these Charan details with the join date, let's check in our table. Let's execute this table. Right now this table contains 0 rows. Let's insert the Charan details. Click insert. Let's check in our database. I'm executing the statement again. So here we got the Charan employee details is inserted successfully with the date and the current time. Today's date and the current time. That's it. In this video I have shown how to insert the current date and time in SQL Server using Blazor application. Thanks for watching and please subscribe my channel.